Yo, what's good, you guys? Your boy Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. Much love to all my subscribers out there, man. Much love to everybody that's been, hanging down with me, through sometimes my long hiatuses when I've just, been busy with, with life and with the family and everything else. So much love to everybody, man. And I'm going to try to do my best to try to produce more videos for you. Now, I wanted to particularly touch upon this subject right here. And it's been pretty much boggling my attention and just been rattling my mind over the last couple of days. And it's not for the overall coverage of the Brett Favre situation. It's the lack of coverage that has been going on with Brett Favre. And I wanted to express success. My thing is as simple as this: Brett Favre is a piece of work, and he's pretty much a shady character, to say the least. And coming here from Minnesota, I've always associated with a lot of Green Bay fans that live here, and obviously in Wisconsin too, of course. That would pretty much tell you that Brett is a pretty much a shady type of dude, even though he tries to come across as a whatever a nice person. Up, he's very shady. But the thing that really has been catching my attention, and not surprisingly at all, has been the lack of accountability that the media has been pushing against Brett Favre. And what we're talking about is that Brett Favre, who's from Mississippi, of course, which is the poorest state in America, and pretty much he's been what's the best word to do it? He's been pretty much trying to fund welfare money illegally by misusing state funds with, people inside the Mississippi government, of course, to try to fund a volleyball stadium at his alma mater of Southern Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? And it's been really been shady as hell. And I've only seen a few, segments on Undisputed, which they've talked about it. But the thing that really irked me was that when I was watching Undisputed, when they were talking about this, you knew Shannon Sharp was always going to go in on this thing, because when it comes to, stealing people from welfare money, people that desperately needed it the most, that are not making, any significant amounts of income, and you got this, man that is stealing money from the poor. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And then the face of Skip Bayless, who just pretty much said, I got nothing, because there's nothing to defend about this. And this is the same guy that goes in on TO for ridiculous reasons. But last time I checked, I never seen TO do anything illegal. He's never committed a crime. He's always been a civil citizen. People just don't like his personality. That's just it. But to stay on subject here, I have been kind of disappointed, not surprised at all, that the sports publications of Fox Sports, ESPN, and everything else has not put more scrutiny on Brett Favre. They were doing it to the gills when it came to the Deshaun Watson, but when it came down to Brett Favre and the things that he was doing, it was completely 360. They just pretty much tried to push it to the side and pretend like it doesn't exist. But I hate to break it to you, it does exist. Especially when you look at the incriminating text messages that I've been reading through from Yahoo Sports, from ESPN. I mean, it's just been ridiculous. I've read one text that pretty much was talking to um, a former governor of Mississippi, and he pretty much texted on 2019. The former governor, whatever his name is, Brian or whatever, so texted Favre that a nonprofit organization has some limited control over the federal funds in the form of grants of children for children and adults in the low income community. Use of these funds is tightly controlled, and any improper use could result in violation of federal law. And auditors are currently reviewing the use of these funds. And what's so incriminating about this is that Brett knew this was incriminating, and he pretty much talked about in one of his texts that is he going to get into trouble if he continues to go down this road. And you knew this guy had no thought process about what he's doing. And this is a guy that I looked at his net worth earlier before I did this video. The man's net worth is about $110 million. All right. And $7 of those $1 million are from sponsors. Sponsors like Nike, Snapper, Remington, Sears, Proselect, Sensodyne, MasterCard, Wrangler Jeans, Bernstrom Automotive, uh, copper, sleeve, clothing company, whatever. I mean, the list goes on and on. Apparently, some of those, smaller endorsers are slowly making the distancing themselves from Brett Favre, but the big time ones have pretty much stayed put. Now, I don't know if they're gonna, make the same move and just, distance themselves from Brett Favre, because now it's becoming much more clear that a lot of the stuff that he was doing was just pretty much ridiculous. But what really makes me so irritated about this is that the man makes about 20 times more money than any other resident in the state of Mississippi, and could have funded the volleyball stadium himself. He could have put up whatever amount of money that it costs to build up that stadium, put it on the forefront, and let them use that money to pretty much build the stadium themselves. But he didn't do that. He decided to take away money that people in the state of Mississippi needed the most, and especially what's been going on in Jackson, Mississippi, too, with the whole water crisis situation and how terrible this has been. Now, people need water. They need, resources. They need that welfare money to try to at least make a living for themselves. And you got this idiot here that's literally stealing money from people that are on welfare, and then using it for, for himself and for people that don't deserve that kind of money. It's literally ridiculous. And Jeff Pearlman, who is a New York, who was a New York author and also award-winning, book publisher, when he came out on Twitter in the aftermath when the news broke out, and pretty much said that, told the people don't bother buying his book because he doesn't deserve this iconic treatment that he's been presented over the past few decades. And listen, I read Jeff Pearlman's books. I read some of them back in college. The dude is a douchebag, literally. But when he came out on Twitter and said that, told his followers don't buy his book, I mean, it just spoke volumes of how bad this really is. So let me go ahead and pull this up real quick. Um, the Jeff Pearlman tweet that he said about Brett Favre. So let me pull this up real quick. So he pretty much disowned Brett Favre pretty much in a scathing tweet. So this is what he said. It was basically a couple of weeks ago on September 13th of this year. On the day of an extended Favre revelations, I want to share something. I wrote a biography of the man that was largely glowing with football heroics, overcoming obstacles, practical joker, and yes, it includes the grossness, addictions, treatment of women, but fairly positive. That's what he pretty much said. But then watch what he pretty much said after this though. So let me pull this up real quick. Give me 1 second here. Let me pull this up real quick. There you go. Yeah, fairly positive. And now, the same day, he goes like this, end quote. And now, looking at it now, if I'm being brutally honest, I advise people not to read it. He's a bad guy. He doesn't deserve the icon treatment. He doesn't deserve acclaim, image rehabilitation, warm stories of great glory. His treatment of women was inexcusable, end quote. When you have that man literally scathing Brett Favre on Twitter, that should tell you something that is really much alarming to a lot of us. But if you are a black athlete and had pretty much been receiving much of the scrutiny over the past decade, people like Deshaun Watson, Ray Rice, Michael Vick, I mean, the list goes on and on. But this man right here can literally go on, steal money from people who are on welfare and use it to build a stupid volleyball arena that he could just put up money himself to do it. It's literally ridiculous. And I agree 100% with what Jeff Pearlman says, even though I don't like the guy. The man does not deserve any icon treatment. He doesn't deserve to be glorified. He literally does not. It's ridiculous how people still try to. I've seen some people try to defend this kind of level of behavior, talking about how there's just one person that pretty much said that what Michael did was inhumane. Listen, Yes, you could say that Michael Vick did something that is, ridiculously stupid, and I would not argue with that. But let's be clear about something here. The man paid his dues, and the man spent an entire decade rehabbing his image, and now has become a productive member of society and has not done any other troubles since. But what Brett Favre has done over the past decades or so, the sexual misconduct when he was in New York, all the other stuff when it comes to women, and now this comes out about him stealing money from people who are on welfare. I'm sorry, that's 20 times more worse. That just shows more of his inhumane nature. And the worst part is that these people, they thought that they could just get away with this. And even when they got caught, they tried to sit there and try to defend that level of behavior, which is completely alarming. It doesn't really, surprise me, but the way that they were going at this was just absolutely ridiculous. And, more of the media needs to put more, more gas to the fire on Brett Favre. The man deserves all the criticism. He deserves all of the scrutiny that he deserves to get. And even if he gets away with all the crimes that he's been implicated for, this is going to hurt his legacy. It will not hurt his legacy on the football field. I want to make that very clear. It does not take away his records. It does not take away his MVP awards, Pro Bowls, All Pros, Super Bowl ring, everything else. All the memories that he's done in his career, you can't take that away from him. However, when you talk about the character of the man, when you talk about the guy that outside of the football field, the guy is pretty much a fake con artist and pretty much is an inhumane person that did something that is completely, selfish. And there's no other words I can pretty much say because I don't want to, say more explicit stuff that would get me in trouble. But the point is, Brett Favre has been pretty much been treated to a different standard than what other athletes face against. And I'm talking about the black athletes specifically. And so Brett Favre does not deserve any acclaim. He doesn't deserve our respect. He doesn't deserve any level of glory because of what he did. So that's just my 2 cents on the situation. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. And with that, I'm out. Peace.